In the BBA Tuesday with Mori. The summary of the lesson is the primary story takes place over the course of 14 weeks in the late summer and fall of 1995, beginning when the narrator Mitch discovers that Mori has Mori, his beloved sociology professor from college, is dying from ALS. When Mitch's newspaper union strikes, putting him out of work for an extended period, Mitch travels each week on Tuesday from his home in Detroit to Maury's home outside Boston for what he calls his final class with Maury. His final thesis is the full completed book. Maury grew up in Newark and his family was very poor. When he was 9, his mother fell ill and died, which haunted Maury throughout the rest of his life. His father, Charlie, was not an affectionate man, and Maurice struggled through the next 2 years until his father remarried. Eva, his stepmother, was kind and loving. She gave Maury both the love he so desperately desired and instilled in him a love for education. That is the very important aspect for the parents to instill in their children love for education. After failed attempts by Maurice's father to get him a job in fur factory, Mori decided to become a teacher. At the beginning of each chapter, Mitch shares the story of his relationship with Mori during his college days. Mitch began college in 1976 at Brandeis University and met Mori in his first sociology class. Mitch was one of the youngest students, which he compensated for by acting very tough. Mori, however, treated him with compassion and kindness, and the two developed a very trusting teacher student relationship. Mori convinced Mitch to write an honors thesis on football culture. At his graduation, Mitch promised he had kept in touch with his professor, which he did not follow through on. After graduation, Mitch moved to New York to pursue his dream of being a professional piano player. He was not successful. He lived in an adjacent apartment to his favorite uncle, who died of pancreatic cancer while Mitch was living there. His uncle's death shakes Mitch, who decides he cannot waste any more time and then earns a degree in journalism and finally settles in Detroit to work as a sports reporter. Mitch becomes very materially successful, although he is not all that happy. Morris' health begins to decline in his 60s when asthma begins to make his life difficult. A lover of dance, he has to stop when breathing becomes hard and he begins to suffer falls. When he continues to decline, doctors run a variety of tests, and in 1994, Mori is diagnosed with ALS. He teaches his final class at Brandeis that fall, and in the spring, he gives the first of three television interviews with Ted Koppel of Nightline. Koppel is friendly yet not warm. In Detroit, Mitch catches the interview on TV and decides to visit Mori. Despite the fact that Mori, now in wheelchair, becomes Mitch with open arms. Mitch finds their first visit awkward and uncomfortable as he realizes that he is no longer the kind and idealistic student Mori knew in college. Mori offers to tell Mitch that it is life to die. It is like to die, which makes Mitch even more uncomfortable. Mitch struggles to answer questions about how fulfilled he is in his life, realizing that he isn't. When he leaves, he again promises Mori that he shall come back and visit. Mitch travels to UK to cover Wimbledon and finds himself thinking about Mori the entire time. The day after returns to Detroit, his new newspaper union goes on a strike. After sitting around for a week, he calls Mori and asks to come visit again. At the beginning of this visit and every visit after, Mitch arrives bearing food after remembering how much Mori loves food. When Mori begins to cry, talking about how he is so much more affected by death in the world, now that he himself is dying, Mitch is again uncomfortable. Mori promises that he will show Mitch that crying is okay. Throughout the next several Tuesdays, Mitch begins to assist Mori's nurse, Connie, with Mori's care. The first time he lifts Mori from his wheelchair to his armchair, he feels how the disease has made Mori into dead weight, which he is disturbed by. After that, he begins to bring tape recorders and a list of topics for he and Mori to discuss as a way of keeping Mori alive in memory once he has gone. This is exactly what Mori wants. After he found out he was dying, he began to write down tidbits of wisdom about living in shadow of death. The consummate teacher, he wants to teach the world about life, death, and how to truly live. Mori's second interview with Ted Koppel shows Koppel as significantly warmer and Mori's celebrity spreads even further it airs. On the fourth Tuesday, Mitch and Mori talk about death, and Mori shares some of his wisdom about creating personal culture by borrowing from different religions. He says he is especially drawn to nature now that it is end drawing near, as though it is first time he is noticing it. By the next visit, Mitch begins to realize that Mori craves human contact more and more as the disease takes over. He needs to be constantly adjusted in his armchair to stay comfortable and needs his microphone for the tape recorder adjusted regularly as well. This leads into a discussion on the importance of family. And Mitch shares with the reader that his own brother Peter is living in Spain battling the same form of pancreatic cancer and killed his uncle. The next several Tuesdays, Mori's health declines further. He becomes unable to use the toilet unassisted and he is no longer capable of eating solid food. Despite not sleeping well due to coughing, he still insists on seeing visitors. Charlotte, his wife, insists to Mitch that their visits give Mori purpose in light of his disease. Mori and Mitch discuss how Mori is dealing with his growing dependence on others by detaching from fear and other negative emotions, and he still manages to maintain perspective about aging thanks to his belief that aging is growth rather than decay. By the 8th Tuesday, Mori is having good days and many bad days, but still believes that it is important to pursue making people happy rather than making money. On the 10th Tuesday, Mitch's wife Jenny accompanies him to visit Mori. She is a professional singer and agrees to sing for Mori when he asks, which surprises Mitch. Mori shows his ability to connect with anyone, and he and Jenny get along as though it was not the first time they had met. Mori then reveals his thoughts on marriage and why Mitch's generation experiences so much divorce. His ideas center on his guiding beliefs of having compassion and understanding for one's partner and the importance of love. The following week, Mitch has become even more involved in Mori's care and helps loosen the mucus in his lungs by pounding on his back. By this time, Mori has been slowly breaking down Mitch's walls, and Mitch is becoming more sensitive and compassionate and less focused on work. Mori encourages Mitch to create his own personal culture, and Mori did that borrows the parts of cultures and religions that Mitch finds useful and helpful. Mori's culture allows him to focus on his relationship with friends and family, which he believes is even more important given his impending death. When Mori gives his final interview for Night Line the next week, he and Koppel speak like friends, and more than any interview, it is sad farewell. A few days later, when Mitch is visiting Mori recounts the story of one of his good friends who was not there for Mori when Charlotte got sick, after which they lost contact. The friend died of cancer a few years before the present day, and Mori regrets deeply not reconnecting with him. He also tells Mitch that if he were to have another son, he had like he would like that child to be Mitch. The next week, Mitch asks Mori what the perfect day would be, and what Mori describes is shockingly ordinary. He encourages Mitch to try to patch things up with his brother, who is still struggling with cancer and not accepting calls from his family. When Mitch returns on the 14th week, Mori is in bed and doing poorly. Mitch cries as he says goodbye, as does Mori. Mori dies the following Saturday, and Mitch attends the funeral. It is a small affair in a beautiful park, and Mitch thinks it is fitting that funeral takes place on a Tuesday. Not long after, Mitch is able to make contact with his brother, and their future relationship seems hopeful. Themes: teaching and learning. The story is very touching a story, and it teaches so many lessons which are associated with teaching and learning, family, the need of the family, the requirement of the family when the any person of the family is in crisis. At various times throughout the book, Mitch describes the book he's writing as a long prayer or a final thesis, written for the final class, a class containing only Mitch, that his dying college professor Mori will teach. The entirety of the text then is centered around the idea of teaching and learning. The book takes its structure from Mori's class syllabus. Each week chapter is lecture on Mori's class. Death. The events of Tuesday with Mori are set in motion when Mitch finds out his beloved former college professor is dying and decides to visit him. The lesson that Mori imparts to Mitch arises from Mori's desire to teach the world about death and how to live when one's dying. As he faces the inevitability of his own fast approaching death, the book then serves as a meditation on death. Mori ruminates throughout the 14 weeks. So this is about the also a great lesson how a person should face the death boldly, and he should not become desperate even in the face of death. Culture and religion. Muri's guiding philosophy of life is that each person must not have accept the larger modern mid 90s culture, which he consistently critiques. He takes issue with modern culture's overvaluing of materiality, achievement, and superficial things, which he believes is not conducive to living a happy, fulfilled, and successful life. He instead advocates for the creation of personal cultures or system of living life that allows someone to be fulfilled throughout careful question. Movement and change. Tuesdays with Mori is very concerned with the act of moving through time and space. Movement is treated in turn as inevitable, a privilege, a scary, and necessary. Mori is dying of ALS, a disease that progressively limits its victim's ability to move. As such, the text is constantly updating the reader to Mori's current ability or lack thereof regarding movement. The reader is asked to consider what it means to have the ability to read analysis of movement and change in other lessons which you can find in different books. Love family and community. Love each other or perish is Mori's favorite line by poet W.H. Auden, and it is the guiding philosophy of Mori's life. He believes there is nothing as important as relationship with friends, family, and community. The text provides some nuances as to how the love is expressed by questioning if love is still valid and useful. It is harder to see. Watching Mori's relationship evolve throughout his life asks the reader to consider Tuesday with Mori characters. There are characters which portray the story. Mitch Albom is one of them, a sports reporter living and working in Detroit, Michigan. He attended Brandeis University of his undergraduate degree, where he met Professor Maury Schwartz thoroughly his sociology classes. The two developed a close relationship with Mitch Maury Schwartz, a professor of sociology at Brandeis University. His love of teaching and desire to treat others with compassion and understanding make him a beloved friend and memory to many, including Mitch, the narrator. Peter, Mitch's younger brother, a free spirit who moved to Spain and remains relatively estranged from his family. He is diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer and must travel throughout Europe to receive treatment. Charlie, Maury's father, a Russian man who moved to the US to escape the Russian army, he worked in the fur industry, spoke little English, and was generally cold towards Maury and David. Maury's mother, she ran a candy shop in Bronx until she fell sick with the unnamed illness. She passes away. Jenny, Mitch's wife, a professional singer, she and Mitch married after 7 years of dating, and she loves him despite his busy schedule and his unwillingness to prioritize having children. She accompanies Mitch to visit Maury one week and to everyone's surprise sings for Maury. Charlotte, wife of Maury and a professor at MIT. She is a very private person but tolerates and supports Maury's desire to have visitors where he receives his ALS diagnosis. David, Maury's younger brother, he contracted polio as a child and suffers from permanent limb. Eva, Maury's stepmother, a Romanian immigrant, she married Charlie a year after Maury's mother died. When Maury was 9, she gave Maury the love and attention he craved from his father and is responding for instilling in him a love of earning. Ted Koppel, host of Nightline TV show, a tough, brisk man. Through his three interviews with Mori, he softens and seems to take some of Mori's life lesson to heart. Connie, Mori's home health nurse, described as a stout Italian woman, she helps Mori use the toilet and performs other tasks to keep him comfortable, such as massaging his feet and turning him in bed. Tony, Maury's first home health worker who helps him with his bathing suit and getting in and out of the swimming pool. Rob, one of Maury's sons, a journalist in Tokyo. John, one of Maury's sons, a expert in Boston. Food. Maury absolutely loves to eat. Besides being necessary for life in a basic sense, Mori sees food as a means of connecting and fostering relationships, and therefore essential in developing and maintaining his personal culture. Media Tuesday with Morris makes it very clear that the world is absolutely saturated in all sorts of media. Mitch works for newspaper as well as television and radio. Both he and Mori read newspapers. The natural world and Maurice Hibiscus. Part of Mori's personal culture, including taking walks outside, and he shows a great appreciation for nature even when he is no longer able to outside and even gets a chill sitting next. Dance. Mori's love of dance is directly tied to his conception of freedom. Dance is a way for him to gain freedom from a culture he does not find useful.